Obviously not your original opponent, but it seems like fans are more intrigued by your fight with Ian than your original fight with Bilal. I'm curious, have you felt that, and do you understand where they're coming from when they look at this fight?
Именно қазақстандық фанаттарға әрине титульный жекпе-жек қызық деп ойлаймын. Бірақ бұл жекпе-жекте өте тартысты болып өтеді деп ойлаймын. Неге дегенде еңгерлі кәлі жеңіліп көрмеген жауынгер мен үшін де бір тағы сынақ десем болады.
I believe the title fight will be more interesting for fans in Kazakhstan back home, but fight with Garry is also very competitive, very interesting one. He's undefeated for a reason, and it's a good challenge for me.
Well, I'm sure you've heard, people seem to be more interested in your fight than either you or Shavkat's original fights. So I guess, how's life been since they announced this? Because obviously when Bilal got hurt, Shavkat wanted to stay on. It seems like they were asking everyone, and then they settled it on you. You've described your rise as perfect in the UFC, so I guess, could you have drawn this up any more perfect outside of possibly fighting for an undisputed title?
I told you guys I had a plan. I told you it was a 6-fight plan, and on my 6th fight, I'll win the world title. When I fight Shavkat, that'll be number 5. So it's been perfect. I think the only way this would have been nicer is if I would have taken out someone like a Kobe or an Usman, proved that wrestling defense, beat one of those guys who've been in the division for so long, and then take out Shavkat for the title. That's the only way I would have drawn up better in my mind, but God has gifted me a golden opportunity to go out here on Saturday night, cement myself as the #1 contender, and I'm going to take it by the balls and I'm going to have some fun.
Were you surprised that he was the only one that took the fight against you? Because obviously you said, all these other fighters turned it down and Ian jumped on it. Were you surprised it was Ian that raised his hand to fight you?
Иә, әрине кішкене таң қалдым. Неге дегенде күткен жоқпын. Неге дегенде оның жекпе-жегі бар еді. Ол бұл жекпе-жекке келіспесе де болатын еді. Бірақ осы жекпе-жекке келіскені үшін Гарryге құрметтеймін. Қатты сөзінде тұрды, айтқан сөзінде еркек екен, сол жағы.
Yeah, I was surprised at first, Firstly, I was surprised he accepted the fight with Beckley, why he didn't wait to fight me. But then I respect the fact that he took the fight with me, unlike others.
There's also a lot of fans that seem to think like outside of undisputed or undefeated versus undefeated, there's every question they have of him in there, you could present like the answer to and vice versa. Like they will get answers from both of you regardless of who wins. So do you view that similarly? Like all of these, like you've never faced a guy that'll get in your face and try to wrestle you. Shavkat can do that. Shavkat's not faced a long rangy guy that can also grapple with him. You can do that. Do you kind of view that? Do you understand where they're coming from?
Yes, the MMA fan base has questions about how legit Shavkat is. Not that he hasn't proved or done anything that hasn't been phenomenal so far in his career. 18 up, 18 down is pretty spectacular. But moments of very sloppy performance. I mean, Jeff Neal was arguably winning the fight, cracked him a lot, hurt him, and was very lucky to come away with a finish in that fight. And then just his opponents haven't been as high a level in totality as mine, I believe. Obviously, we share 2. And then just, again, like you say, pressure, constant pressure. Can I deal with the pressure? Can I stop the wrestling? Can I beat him on the feet? Can I do these things? The answer is yes, but I've got to go out there and show the world Saturday night.
Do you think fans are looking too much into your past sparring sessions? Because it seems like every time you guys talk in the media, that's like one of the first questions they bring up.
Иә, әрине біз сонымен кішкене спарринг жасағанбыз. Бірақ ол кезде біз жай ғана жұмыс жасадық, техника бойынша кішкене бір-бірімізді аяп, бойда ешкім бір-бірімізді аямаймыз, сол кезде көреміз.
Yeah, we did spar a few times, but it was light sparring, technical work. And in a fight, it's not gonna be as light as in sparring.
We've heard from fans, when they get matched up with people from that part of the world, like when people fight Shavkat or Islam or Hamzat, their DMs and their comments just get flooded with flag emojis and they get flooded with messages from that part of the world. Has that been the case with you?
All I have seen from this fight is that the entire world knows that I'm a gamer. They have all given me nothing but respect because I didn't have to take this fight. We all know that. I had a fight lined up next week. I seen this opportunity against the baddest man in the division. I went, you know what? Let me do that. Why? The risk versus reward is better than anything. The risk in any fight. You go out, you lose. The reward, you move up the rankings, you move up the ladder. In this case, I get a shot at the title. I cement myself as the #1 contender. I remain undefeated. I take out what many consider to be the boogeyman. I do it in beautiful fashion, and then I go wipe the floor with Bilal next year. That's it. It's perfect, man.
You told a story about how you submitted him in camp or a sparring session. He was in here a few minutes ago and he said that did happen. He's not going to deny it, but he understands that you're probably not looking at that specifically because sparring is sparring and fighting is fighting.
иә әрине тренировкада әртүрлі жағдай болуы мүмкін, бірақ шаршы алаңға шыққан кезде мен оған көрсетем, барлық жағынан мен техникам одан қалмайды, одан үстем болмаса.
Yeah, anything can happen in a training, I don't think too much about that. But in a fight, I'm going to show him that I'm better than him in all aspects of the game.
You've used that phrase, people think he's the boogeyman, I don't. So I guess what are you seeing that other people don't see?
I respect everything he's done. I respect his 18-0, and it's phenomenal. But I just don't see it being as crazy as everyone makes it out to be. I mean, when you want to say it, like, he's 6-0 in the UFC, I'm 8-0 in the UFC. I have more knockouts in the UFC. I have more wins in the UFC. I have more wins over ranked opponents in the UFC. And you can absolutely make the case that the 8 people I've fought are better than the 6 people he's fought. But I don't get the credit that he gets. And that's okay. I don't need it. I don't want it. I'm going to earn it on Saturday night when I beat him.
Ian said that he could envision this fight going that he would exhaust you and then finish you in the later rounds. I'm curious how you see this fight playing out on Saturday.
Ол мүлдем қателеседі деп ойлаймын. Оның ойлаған заттары амалға аспайды. Мен ол ойлаған, алдыға қойған мақсатыма жетемін деп ойлаймын.
I think it's not how it's going to happen. I think he's delusional, and I think I'm going to beat him and get to my goal.
Ian, another thing that fans like to discuss, and I think it makes fights more fun, even if there's not a lot behind it, is when you hear guys have sparred each other in the past, right? I know sparring, fighting's fighting, but obviously we've heard Shavkat's perspective of your spars before. I'm curious if you could let us in on what you felt you took away from those.
He's phenomenally talented. He's an amazing fighter, but I think he and I will both tell you that we've never fought hard in the gym. We've not fought. We've always been learning and growing and practicing, and fighting is completely different. And what happens in the gym is cool, fair play. If you have any success in the gym, great. I've had success, he's had success. We have to do that on the bright lights and the big stage. That's what it's all about. He's only succeeded. I've only succeeded. So now let's put the both of us on those bright lights, on that big stage, co-main event, all the marbles on the line, and let's go have some fun and see what happens.
Do you think Garry is the toughest test of your career, or do you think there's actually someone you fought in the past that is a more difficult matchup for you?
Әрине, Гарри қазіргі таңда жеңіліске айтқандай жеңіл көрмеген жігіт. Ол Джефф Нилді ұтты, қазір Майкл Пейджді ұтты. Мен үшін бұл сынақ, мен оны жекпе-жек көрсетеді, маған қатты қиыншылық тудыра ма жоқ па?
He's undefeated. He beat such good guys, opponents as Jeff Neal and Michael Venom Page. But if he's the toughest test in my career, the fight will show that. I cannot say it right now.
So it would be fair to say, right, he told Ariel that he made you tap in sparring. It would be fair to say that if he's taking anything away from that experience, he would be mistaken to do so.
If he wants to latch on to a moment of success in training from 2 years ago and thinks I'm the same fighter I was then he would be sadly mistaken. I don't believe he is going to be latching on to anything like that. I believe he is being honest, and he's saying this happened, which it did. I'm not turning around and say it didn't, but if I sit here and tell you the names I've gone out and beaten sparring, it's just not relevant. It would be a very different conversation. So he has to do it on Saturday night, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to show him that I'm far better than he could ever imagine.
Shavkat, back here. When Ian was in here earlier, he gave respect to your record, but he then said that he feels that he's beat higher level opponents than you, and explained, that you might have finished Jeff Neal, but his win was more flawless. I just wanted to know your opinion, on him saying he has wins over higher level opponents.
Енді ол өзінің ойы, әркімнің өзі ойы бар деп ойлаймын, бірақ мен оны мерзімнен алдын аяқтадым. Джефф Нил әрине мықты қарсылас. Маған да қашып жүріп, ұрып төбелесуге болатын еді, бірақ мен жеңіске жету үшін білмеймін енді. Әркімнің өзі ойы бар. Ол не десем, более осторожно төбелеседі, көп қашып, көп соққы не десем болады, көп соққы өткізбеуге тырысады. Бірақ біз Гарри мен екеуміз бір-бірімізге ұқсамаймыз, стиліміз де ұқсамайды, сондықтан көреміз.
Yeah, everyone have his own thoughts. You know, Jeff Neal is a very great opponent, but Ian have a different style. He have a more careful style, and I'm different. You know, we're different. We have different styles, and I also could have fought Jeff Neal this way. You know, run around, try to be careful, but I fight differently. So we'll see.
Ian, to your left over here. Obviously, you mentioned the fights that you and Shavkat both have fought. When we think of that, we think of the Jeff Neals, Neil Magny's. Why do you think people choose not to just see that both of you guys have beat the same guys? Do you think it's the finishes that he did, or do you?
I love you, Leo. Sorry, my little boy's getting upset because he can't come up here with me. Let's put it this way. I think you'll all agree with this. I'm not the most loved fighter in the world. Now, when you have that opinion, it changes the way you look at fights, right? Hence why I don't give it any weight. When you watch me versus Jeff Neal, you watch Shavkat versus Jeff Neal, who did it better? Sure, he got a finish, but who had a cleaner performance? Me, right? When you watch Magny, a 30-24, dude, that was domination. So I do them clean. I know what I'm doing. I'm very, very talented, and I don't care what the world thinks of me, if they want to think negatively or they want to think positively. I'm doing me. As I said, I was a kid from Dublin, Ireland, who had a dream. Sat there and said, I want to be one of the best fighters the world's ever seen. I'm one fight away from cementing myself an opportunity to win a world title. I don't care what people think about me. I'm having the time of my life, and I'm enjoying every second of it with the people I love and the people I've traveled the world with. That's all that matters to me.